16.1 Roles, Responsibilities and Skills of a Coach by Riley Wood. There are many different roles a coach could take up in sports. Here are 4 of them. One role that a coach could take up is the role of the trainer. Trainers are responsible for organising and running the process of training their players. Trainers require a good knowledge of the physical, technical and tactical demands of their specific sport in order to tailor training to the player's needs. They must be able to adapt their training sessions to suit the team if coaching a team, or to suit the player if coaching an individual. For team sports, such as a trainer for a basketball team, the trainer must have extensive tactical knowledge in order to help the team to learn and understand different tactical approaches to games. Trainers must have a good knowledge of health and fitness as well as the principles of training, and must take into account the age, ability, experience and interests of their trainees. A trainer is required in all sports, as athletes of all levels have to improve and maintain their ability and fitness. Trainers are arguably more important in individual sports, as the need for one-to-one coaching is necessary for improvement in individual sports, whereas in team sports there are other ways to improve. For individual sports, one of the trainer's main jobs will be to work with the athlete to improve their fitness. This is also vital to the development of the athlete. An example could be a tennis coach. These coaches will spend long periods of time in one-to-one training with their trainee, and so must understand their physical needs and have an in-depth knowledge of the sport in order to help progress their game. There are some limitations of these types of coaches, however. If, for example, a trainer is so focused on the tactical and the performance aspect of sport, then they may overlook the personal side of their sport. For example, an individual coach, such as a diving coach, may be so intent on improving their trainee that they begin to distance themselves from the athlete on a personal level. Another role that some coaches must fill is the role of friend. Coaches and their athletes spend long periods of time together, often over a number of years. This extreme exposure to one person can lead to relationships and bonds forming and developing. In an individual sport such as swimming, this is important as the athlete is spending the majority of their working lives with you, so the role of friend is an important one to help maintain a healthy relationship. If a swimming coach does not act as a friend to their athlete, then the relationship may become stale, meaning that the development of the athlete is slower. A coach who can be friends with their players can use this to their advantage to get the best out of their athletes, both as a person and as a performer. If a coach understands how an athlete best deals with problems or obstacles, they can use this to help motivate them. They can also help the athlete if they have an issue outside of the sport. In a team sport such as rugby, a coach can be an important figure to turn to for personal issues. Especially in men's sport, emotion is often looked upon as a weakness in competitive sports, and so the athletes may feel more comfortable turning to a coach who is a friend to them rather than a fellow player. As a coach, however, their priority is the development of the athlete, and so this will involve giving criticism. If the coach feels the role of friend as well as coach, this negative feedback is probably easier for the athlete to accept and understand. A coach acting as a friend is important in both individual and team sports, however possibly more so in team sports. Sometimes a player in a team sport can feel isolated, especially if they are not performing well, and so the coach can act as a friend to these players and help them to regain their confidence and start to perform well again. One limitation of a coach being a friend, however, is that in some instances it is easy for a coach to become too friendly with an athlete, which can inhibit their professional relationship. For example, a coach of an individual sport such as gymnastics may begin to become too close to their trainee, making the professional relationship too relaxed, thus hindering improvement or even making the relationship inappropriate for a professional situation. An innovator is another role that a coach can occupy. These are coaches that study their field and search for new and fresh techniques to improve their methods and subsequently their players. These coaches are always on the lookout for new ideas that can improve the quality or enjoyment of their players' sessions. In team sports such as football, innovators must research teams and systems in other leagues that they may be able to replicate in their own team. An example of an innovative coach was Johan Cruyff, who reinvented the idea of total football and transformed Barcelona into the club that they are today. In a sporting world that is ever increasingly reliant on technology and science, innovators must have an up-to-date knowledge of technology and scientific developments in their respective sport. Innovative coaches are required across all sports at elite level. However, at amateur or lower level professional leagues, the opportunity for innovation may not be as present due to the lack of funding and technology available at these levels of sport. For example, an athletics coach at amateur level will not have the opportunity to video record and make detailed analysis of the athlete's techniques, whereas this is easily done at professional level. The need for innovation is also much greater at the highest level, as the slightest increase in performance can be the difference between success and failure, whereas at lower levels the gaps between ability are much bigger. At elite level, Individual sport coaches, such as boxing coaches, can make slight alterations to their athlete's technique by using detailed computer analysis during a fight that can make a huge difference to the result. The fourth role I will discuss is the role of role model. A coach can act as a role model to help inspire their players and prevent them from making stupid mistakes. It's both as a performer and person. A coach is representing their sport, club, players and themselves, and so must set a good example to the watching world as well as those working around them. A coach for a top-level sports team, such as a baseball team, will bear many responsibilities, such as addressing the media, and so will need to display respectful, positive behaviour. A good role model will demonstrate appropriate behaviour and language at all times, which will in turn rub off on the players and fans. Coaches must also accept responsibility for the actions of the athletes they coach, while encouraging positive and non-discriminatory behaviour. A coach, as a role model, is responsible for maintaining enjoyment and passion from their athletes, especially at youth and amateur level. At youth level, sports coaches can heavily influence the performers' enjoyment of their sport, and so can inspire children to get into sport or to stick with it. A bad role model will end up putting children off taking part in sport.